everyone, it's Nikki and I'm back with a 22-week pregnancy update today. So I just turned 22 weeks today, so this will be going over the week for my 21st week. So during this week, probably the most eventful thing for me was I had a follow-up anatomy scan. So I had my first anatomy scan when I was 19 weeks. And everything looked great except my baby wasn't in the best position for them to see everything. She likes to face towards my spine, so like facing backwards, and so they had a really hard time getting a profile shot of her and seeing all the different angles of her heart. So they wanted me to come back in for a second one. And during the first one, the ultrasound technician did mention to me that when she was looking at her umbilical cord and how it inserted into the placenta, she said it has not inserted into the center of the placenta and not even on the edge of the placenta. It's inserted into a membrane on the side, is how it was explained to me. And she said that this does happen sometimes. I asked her at the time if there were any risks associated with it. And she said, the only thing that we're really looking for is to make sure that baby is continuing to grow appropriately. So we'll monitor her growth more closely just to make sure she's still getting all of the nutrients she needs through the cord, even though it has an unusual attachment. And at the time, I thought, okay, and she was in the 50th percentile, and I wasn't too concerned, and she just said, we'll just follow her really closely, and we'll go from there. And at the end of that appointment, I wasn't even thinking about that. We were thinking more about, sorry, here's my dog. We were thinking more about her positioning and trying to find better views for her heart and profile and all of that. Anyways, so when I went back this week, she pointed out the cord insertion again, and she said there's that Velamentous cord insertion. And that's when I first heard the words Velamentous cord insertion, and I went, oh, okay, that's what it's called when the cord is inserted this way. And we talked a little bit more about growth. She said it's only been 2 weeks, so we're not monitoring growth today. You're going to come back in another 2 weeks to do that. And I said, okay, so I'm coming in every 4 weeks. And she said, yes. And then I asked what would happen if they noticed that she wasn't growing appropriately. And she said, well, it depends on how far or how restricted that growth was. If she was in the 50th percentile now and it started going down in percentile, but it was still above the 10th percentile, that would still be considered okay, and we would just keep watching. If it dipped below the 10th percentile, she said then they would have to evaluate whether it would be more beneficial for baby to stay in utero or to induce or have a C-section and have her be born a little bit early. And I said, okay, how early? And she said, well, they usually keep them in utero until around 37 weeks. And I said, okay, well, that's not that early because that's 3 weeks and a lot of development has happened at that point, and I was comfortable with that. And she said, yeah, and just so you know, that's a really unlikely scenario. That's like worst case, what would happen? And I was like, okay. And that was that. Again, in the ultrasound, baby was still not in the best position. She was wiggling around so much. I'd eaten a snack on the way to the appointment, and she was just like kicking and jumping and wouldn't be still, but she doesn't roll over. She just faces towards the back. So she still didn't get all the views she wanted. And she said, but since you're coming back in 2 weeks for the growth check anyway, we'll look again then. And I said, okay. And then I left the appointment feeling great, but I did the thing that you're not supposed to do, and I Googled Velamentous cord insertion because I wanted to find out more about it. And what I found on the internet was really not just discouraging, but it really scared me. I ended the night in tears. I found an association between Velamentous cord insertion and vasa previa. Vasa previa would be a more serious pregnancy complication where the blood vessels that attach the cord pass lower to the cervix, and it's associated with a lot of risks. And it says that 6% of the time if baby has a Velamentous cord insertion, they may also have vasa previa. She did not tell me that I have vasa previa, and I'm pretty sure she checked, because I remember her talking about checking if the blood vessels were close to the cervix and saying no. But I do want to ask when I go in for my next appointment, just to clarify, to make sure that I don't have vasa previa, that the baby only has the Velamentous cord insertion. making me very nervous because there's not only the risk of the baby not growing, the blood vessels which attach to that membrane are not protected by something called Wharton's jelly, which usually protects the entire cord. And so what I read online was that those blood vessels are then more susceptible to rupture, especially during labor. And that terrifies me. And yeah, so I just ended the night and cried myself to sleep basically. And then kind of have come, that was 2 nights ago, and now I've come to the realization, I've just kind of made peace with the fact that I can't do anything about it. And so I'm going to ask, I see my OB next week, and then the week after that is when I go in for, hey honey. And so I go in for another OB appointment next week, and then the week after that I'll be going in for my next sonography appointment. And so when I see my OB and I talk to her, I'll ask her a lot of the questions that I have, and then I'll confirm again at my next sonography appointment that that I don't have vasoprevia. I'll talk to her about how far away from the placenta is the cord and the vessels, and because every individual case, from what I've read, can be very different. The cord could insert on the other side of the uterus, or it could insert right next to it. And how high up in the uterus it is, the higher up the better, basically, because then during labor it has less of a chance of being compressed. So I have a lot of questions to ask, and I will definitely film an update when I get some answers next week. But that was something that was really tough for me this week. It was a very scary thing to hear. But I'm trying not to think too much about it because, again, there's nothing I can do, and so if I worry about it, it's just putting more stress in my body, more stress for the baby, and it's not helping the situation at all. So I've prepared my list of questions, and I'm going to try to relax and go from there. But other than that, this week, symptoms I've experienced: heartburn. The heartburn and the reflux has gotten so bad. It just feels like there's like a lump, like a burning lump just right here every day in the afternoon. And I think it's probably triggered by certain foods, so I'm going to try to keep a food journal. And today I ate pizza for lunch, and that's been one of my biggest cravings, and I think the pizza sauce is one of the things that's causing that acid buildup right there, so it's kind of a bummer. But I took some Tums, and that seems to help, so hopefully this will be a short-lived experience. But what I've heard is that it can, as pregnancy progresses, just kind of be like this for the rest of the pregnancy. Other things I've had this week, my SPD or pelvic girdle pain that I had last week has gotten so much better. I don't know what happened. I feel very lucky because I know for a lot of people that doesn't just go away on its own, but I barely even feel it this week. And last week I had days where it was hard to walk. So that's been a huge improvement. Sleeping, I've been having some weird, vivid dreams. That's a change. But for the most part, I'm still pretty comfortable sleeping. Sleeping positions haven't changed that much for me because I've been sleeping in my pregnancy pillow for about a month now, and I'm more comfortable in it than I am out of it. So that's been helping a lot. I do have to go to the bathroom more frequently at night, so I'll go at least once, sometimes twice a night. And I've noticed during the day too, just more often, I do get dehydrated. I need to drink more water because when I'm at work, I don't think about it and I get really thirsty. But when I drink a decent amount of water, I'm going to the bathroom a lot. And I've noticed a couple of days I had the feeling of having to go to the bathroom, and then when I would actually try to go, barely anything would come out. So just, I've heard that's a symptom some people get. So it may be pregnancy related, or it may have just been once or twice a thing that happened, because it hasn't happened since. I have felt baby moving a lot more this week and a lot more consistently, and I'm excited because I'm finally at a point where I feel like I can actually identify that that's her moving and not, a gas bubble or just a weird gurgle in my stomach. And it's really exciting. It's just like little butterfly flutters, and she seems to move a lot more at night. So right before I go to bed, if I wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes I feel it. And then in the morning, so like right after I wake up and have breakfast and coffee. Throughout the day, I don't feel as much, but I feel some, especially right after I eat. And I think it probably depends on which way she's facing. Because in the ultrasound, when she was facing towards my spine, I could see her kicking and kicking and kicking, but I couldn't feel it. But there are other times when it, like at night, I can feel it so strong that I think she's just rolled over, and that's what's making the difference. I do have an anterior placenta, so the placenta is sitting just right at the very front of my bump, and it kind of acts as a cushion, and so you don't feel it as soon. So for 22 weeks to just now be consistently feeling it is a little bit further along than a lot of moms, but that's really normal for having that placenta in the front. So that's been making me really happy. And this week, for the first time, my husband actually felt her move too. I woke up in the middle of the night and she was like dancing and kicking and kicking and kicking. I was like, honey, give me your hand. And he felt like one kick. He was like, wow, it's so little. Because she's still, she has the tiny little butterfly kicks. But that was really sweet. That was a beautiful moment. Makes all of the heartburn worth it. But let's see. I think that's about it for symptoms this week. I am pretty anxious, but I'm more anxious, I think, about the Velamentous cord insertion than anything else. And it's not necessarily a pregnancy anxiety. It's an anxiety about an actual situation, not so much just general anxiety. But besides that, it's been a really good week as far as energy levels and how I've been feeling. So I'm really excited. Baby has grown quite a bit. I think I've gained like 3 pounds this week. That was another symptom. I've noticed very, very mild swelling in my hands and feet, especially at the end of the day. Not a lot, nothing sudden, but enough to make me go, oh, they're swollen. And I noticed that happened right around the time that I gained like 3 pounds slowly throughout the week. And so some fluid retention. I have been checking my blood pressure, and I know that if you get really sudden swelling along with weight gain and it happens really rapidly, that can be a concern. But it's been happening pretty gradually, so I'm not super worried. And I'm just really excited, and I'm hoping that after I talk to my OB and the ultrasound technician, I'm hoping that I feel a lot better about the Velamentous cord insertion and the things I'm stressed about, because the information on the internet is not comforting at all. It's terrifying. But after I talk to my doctor, I will update you guys and hopefully get some peace of mind from that. I'm sorry, my dog is here with me. This is Savannah. She's my best friend. But thank you guys for watching. I will be filming another update next week, and I think this weekend I'm going to do a pregnancy Halloween costume video because I'm so excited. I have found a costume, and I work in an elementary school, so I dress up every year, and the kids love it, and it's come to be expected. And I usually do a lot of glitter and colors and sparkliness and all things kid-friendly and fun. This year I was not really feeling the dress up as much, but since they've come to expect it and this is my last year at the school, I'm gonna go ahead and make a costume. I always make my own. So I'll film a video this week that is a Halloween costume video. If you guys are interested, please tune in and watch. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please subscribe, and I will see you next time.